Alright, let's start this. Got Wally in the background. Very cool. Alright, so... Okay.
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
How does that work? Do people get upset at you if you do certain things?
Haha, exactly.
Perfect. Balances it out.
So apparently this is a wood wick. I've actually never heard of this type of wick before, but Molly decided to bring it home, and also that she doesn't particularly like it. So it gets handed down into the studio. Okay. I think the space shuttle is such a, well, really any rocket launch is such a powerful symbol of our creative, curious, exploratory nature. And I want to show you something. These are worry beads. I got them when my uncle took me to Greece over a decade ago to visit his home village in the southeast Peloponnesus. I think I probably got these in Athens, and it's a long-standing tradition there. I'm not sure how far back it goes. Maybe you guys can tell me. I never quite figured out how to use them, but they do serve a purpose, to relax the mind, almost like a meditation of sorts. So they give us something to focus on. They're called worry beads. They help relax our mind, and perhaps even give ideas a chance to surface from the depths of our psyche. Surface from the depths of our psyche. The last frontier, truly the last frontier. And maybe allows us to explore any sort of treasure that might be found within. It reminds a fascinating thing. It's so unknown. It's so close and intimate, yet contains so many questions about itself. And in fact, I want to discuss this interesting part of our nature, the curiosity, the exploration, and how we may use this in questions about ourselves to explore and conceive just what aliens might be like if, and I think when, they reach Earth. Let's find out and base it off our exploratory impulses. So our desire to explore is arguably as deep and integral to our being and sense of self as eating, drinking, and sharing both laughs and love. Laughs and love. To biologists, we squirmed out of the sea. Squirmed for 1,000,000 years, albeit, but only to find a hot, dry, gravitationally burdensome environment. Why do we do that? But still, this was an environment that gave our ancestors the impetus to grow legs, run fast, swing from trees, and eventually harness fire. To anthropologists, we struck out from Africa hundreds, maybe just 100,000 years ago, to face the unknown, but also to eventually birth the earliest cogs of the cooperative invention we call civilization. In the fertile earth between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, to historians, the age of discovery, also known as the age of exploration, is one of the most important periods of geographical exploration in human history. It's lasted from the 1400s, which was probably when it started, you could say, with Spain and France, or Portugal. It lasted, so it's the 15th century. It lasted until the 17th century, after we had already mapped out most of Earth. So in this period, Europeans explored and discovered, took over vast areas of the Americas, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. Oceania is what they called it, the Atlantic Ocean. So Portugal and Spain dominated these first parts. And then England, the Netherlands, France followed suit. And this period proved, the significance of it is that it proved the true size of the Earth. We had already had inclinations that it was round, a sphere. And no, I don't think it's flat. I don't think there's enough evidence to support that it's flat. But This helped us prove the true size and existence of an entire mass we call North and South America. And with Galileo's improvements on the telescope in conjunction, it helped define our sense of perspective in the universe. That in fact we are part of a heliocentric system revolving on a planet, on a biological spaceship, around a massive fusion reaction, heating us, giving us warmth in the cold depths of space, in turn revolving around the galaxy, which is just a series of heliocentric systems. It helped us get that much closer to mapping the enduring reality that we exist in and within and are a part of. So now juxtapose that with our common conception of alien life and extraterrestrial contact that we see. You know that is so often portrayed in movies. War of the Worlds, Alien. Even the Marvel movies. Independence Day. I'm going to read you an interesting excerpt from an article about benevolent aliens, and I think it connected nicely with that little introduction I wrote that is my view of the world as I'm slowly peeling back all the pages of knowledge that was written by my ancestors. So this is by Trey Taylor, an 18-year-old, written on September 3rd. Doesn't have a year, so I assume it's 2018. He's a social and political sciences major at Cambridge University. Very intelligent. Did I say it was on the medium.com website? It's called Musings Benevolent Aliens. Culturally, our representations of alien life are largely malevolent. From the movie Signs to the giant heads on Rick and Morty that simply want to see what we have. Show us what you got. I love that episode. You getting swifty. Loved it. And most of the times we see these aliens portrayed as something that want to colonize us and exterminate us, intent on pillaging our resources, whether it's water or minerals, rocks, or even us. You can imagine. You could see the anthropocentrism of this view. I doubt that this is how any dynamic of contact would actually play out. Our presumption of malicious intent is clearly a projection of our own past, our own natures, and cultural sensibilities. We already know that these aren't necessarily universal, and the impulse to conquer foreign lands was not present in, say, Admiral Zhang of China's Grand Armada. In contrast to Columbus's subjugation of the natives, Admiral Zhang merely sought to establish diplomatic connections with the lands that he explored. So instead of death by alien, instead of violent, domineering, exploitive, conquering impulses, being reflective of all intelligent life, I think it's more intelligent to understand this in the context of our psychological projections based on our own brutal, violent past. And no doubt, that's not to dismiss the possibility entirely, but it is worth reconsidering the motives of an alien race that has reached the sophistication, the technological achievements that would have to be reached to traverse interstellar space. We know collective advancement arises from two things: intelligence and cooperation, just as it did, well, in any city, state, at any point in history. You might argue that it's enforced tyranny, dictation of many by a few, but in reality, on a daily analysis, we all are cooperating to keep the system running. Given that the beings in question would have developed technologies allowing them to contact us and transport themselves through space, we can assume that they're both intelligent and very cooperative. As an aside, this suggests that the ubiquitous motive of resource extraction is probably absurd. If they're intelligent enough to travel this far and be able to efficiently harness energy in a very conceivably small enough volume in a spaceship, to deflect particles that would otherwise render the ability to travel so fast across such vast distances, to deflect those particles and avoid being hit by interstellar debris and the cosmic fodder of the Oort cloud and asteroid belts, possibly even rogue, dark planets. You would think that if they were able to achieve this level of technology, they would easily be able to mine asteroids much closer to them in their own systems, even construct Dyson spheres to extract the most amount of solar radiation from their local star, their sun. You would think that they would be able to achieve extremely efficient fusion. They would probably be able to mine non-biologically inhabited planets for their minerals. I mean, if we take the Kardashev scale as an example, these would be aliens of at least a Type 2 civilization. So it's not safe to assume that they would have figured out, that they wouldn't have figured out renewable resources by the time that they traveled so far. Light years. That it would have taken light 4 years at least, or decades, if they're even remotely close by, to reach us. From our own experience, we recognize that the interplay of intelligence and cooperation, it arises an expansion of morality. Morality being really probably the wisest way, the answer to what is the wisest way to play a game. To play the game of cooperation that would mutually benefit you and your neighbors, you and the other team, so to speak, across the here and now, and across all time as well. So we know empathy as the capacity to put ourselves in another's shoes. It's both a rational and emotional exercise, requiring the ability to extrapolate from one's own experience to others, and a connection to an understanding of the object of your empathy. So we know that morality and technology equate and are very proportional in the sense of you can't achieve either without cooperation. And I find it very hard to believe that cooperation can occur without an instinct, an innate sense of empathy, sympathy and empathy. A very highly evolved ability to put yourselves in someone else's shoes. Because after all, isn't that just a form of viewing things from multiple perspectives in order to see the reality of it? I guess that's really where science intersects with morality, I suppose. That's really cool. I didn't think of it like that before. So we can assume that an alien race with immense knowledge is concerned with well-being. So I just wanted to express to you guys that the most probable reason for an alien's contact or an arrival with us, it wouldn't be hatred or desperation, but curiosity and altruism. Curiosity and altruism. Curiosity and altruism. Perhaps one of the most proud instincts we have, or at least one of the most identifying instincts we have, and something we can be proud of. Of course, altruism only happens when you have a connection to those that you're altruistic with, to, for. But you can only be altruistic if you've evolved a society sophisticated enough. That is sophisticated enough to be able to relieve the more base impulses that cause violence, such as hunger, thirst, well-being, healthcare. And I can imagine a civilization who has reached the Star Trek Federation level of sophistication would possibly want to, they would have understood and internalized by then the true importance of cooperation and social cohesion, and perhaps that would impel them to dart around the universe, or the galaxy at least, assisting various civilizations in their march of progress. So Trey and I think it's a compelling argument to be made that we have little to worry about by extraterrestrial contact, despite what Stephen Hawking adamantly really proposed. You know, I don't think they would want to enslave us or breed. I have a hard time believing that a civilization could advance so far technologically and find so much about the truth of reality to be able to transport across entire interstellar space, star systems, while still having an ultimately belligerent attitude towards the universe and each other, you know? And being content with that ignorance. Of course, they would by then have robots, very sophisticated machines to do all their labor that hypothetically we might be used for. And of course, that would mean also that they have a way of efficiently powering those robots. They wouldn't want to mate with us, They might want to understand our biochemistry, but certainly it would be very unlikely that our DNA would be the same. They would have to share polymers or RNA that we use for storing our genetic information. The exact adenosine, guanine, guarine, taurine, I think I butchered those, VACGT genetic letters, which are chemical compounds that we use that make up the fundamental structures one step above atoms, that are the materials to build the double helical DNA that define our being. Yeah, even if we were food, which would be, it'd be like diving to the Marianas Trench to get a dinner of crabs. They'd have to have enzymes that allow them to successfully break down and make use of polymers and amino acids. And the bases and sugars and membranes of phospholipids, fats, that we're made of. Oh, and water. I don't think they would steal our water because even in our own system, we have Europa, which is mostly ice. It holds more liquid water beneath its frozen surface, pure liquid water, than we even have here on Earth. So, again, assuming they're non-malevolence, and I really think there's a great case to be made for that, they wouldn't have any reason to acquire our pure water, our ice, at the expense of our lives. And in that same train of thought, I'm just looking at a list of possible reasons aliens might invade Earth. They want to colonize, they want to use our raw materials, they want to enslave us, they want to eat us. If they were looking for gold or diamonds or even iron, there's so many more asteroids. So much more of those materials within asteroids and uninhabited planets that they would have no reason really. So, overall, I think the logical conclusion to reach, if you're really trying to ask the question, what would aliens want if they came to visit us? The most rational answer, taking everything into account, our own psyche, our own evolutionary origins, our physics, our biochemical structures, our ecosystems, the presence of raw materials out in the cosmos, It would be as researchers. They would come as biologists, anthropologists, linguists, keen to understand the peculiar workings of all that life on Earth, to meet humanity, and to learn our art, music, culture, history. Our languages, our philosophy, and religion. I think religion would be what we value most in the world. And I think that's what would be of most interest to them. I really do. And it would be such an amazing experience to share that with them. I do. So I hope I pulled out some of the uncertainty and uneasiness about all this alien talk I've been discussing lately. I think the instinct that drives us to explore and keep us curious is the same instinct that most life, any civilization, any species out there who has trained, who has evolved, who has cooperated long enough to reach another star system, or even one that has reached our point in humanity, would at least, in some circles of its own society, have reached an altruistic intent towards other aliens, other life in the universe. I think this is something that we should all reconsider. It really does put into perspective the curiosity that would have had to evolve within the psyche and the brain and the intents of a species to make it that far in the world. Has to be powerful, very powerful. I think that our own curiosity is possibly the most fundamental thing that has allowed us to get where we are today. And what is it? It's there. We have a desire. We might be fearful, but after that initial shock subsides, we want to go out and explore and know, so that maybe we can harness the treasure that's out there to be understood and incorporated into our worldview. And maybe, just maybe, everyone out there feels the same way. And maybe they understand the struggle in the fine bottleneck that civilizations in our situation must slip through to come out on the other side of enlightenment and true empathy for everyone else in its ecological sphere. Alright, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I really appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for the support. Thanks for encouraging me to keep up these topics. I love exploring them, and there's so many unknowns, but there's also so many answers already out there in the books of our ancestors. So let's make them proud. But for now, get some sleep, because we have a lot of work to do, a lot of work ahead of us. I'll see you next time. Bye. Guys, I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you who have reached out and supported the channel, because for all the topics that I often explore, the underlying central theme of the channel is actually curiosity, and I think it's something that's severely lacking in all societies, but in ours as well. And I'm very glad that I have decided to strike out and stick my neck out and try to convey these topics that really interest me in a relaxing way, hopefully. But more importantly, I'm excited that you have all found enough meaning in it and enough to relate to want to tell me in a certain way, shape or form, by giving your support to continue what I'm doing, and that it's meaningful enough to you to donate. So I don't want any donations if it's cutting into your personal, even your luxury, your enjoyment, if you have another purpose for it. So to those of you who have chosen to donate, I just want to say how immensely grateful I am, and how much it inspires me to keep going and to get better and be more thorough and find the most interesting perspectives on the world based on the knowledge and speculation that we know, and that we're used to doing. So I want to say thank you. Seriously, I don't want to sound stereotypical and say it wouldn't be, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. That's all true, but I wanted to express this in a personal way, I guess. So, and make it more individualized, I guess, more unique to my situation, because I certainly wouldn't be taking the time to make these videos if I didn't know that people are interested in watching them, and beyond watching them, subscribing and commenting, and then of course donating, like you all have chosen to do. So it means so much. It's actually the thing that keeps me going. I mean, I would probably explore and read these, but I wouldn't have the time or impulse to make videos on these topics if you guys hadn't reached out to tell me that you're enjoying them as much as you are. So I just want to thank Andy, Matthias Feibig, Mark Cohn, Debbie Cottrell, Kieran Cox, Sean, Antoine Issa, Eric Castro, Sander, not Sander with a Z, Richard, Justine Bell. Penny wants to thank you too. Where is she? Oh, there she is. In case you're wondering who that is snoring. Alexander Arroyo, your great moderator, by the way. Shane Berry, Cheyenne Najee, Nick Toombs, and of course Steve Hardiaka in Potato Lunch, Alan Teeter, Dale Chester, Dylan, Cameron, thank you so much, Cameron. Katie McHale, thank you, Katie, for your support. Simon Smith, Ella Gregory, Luke Baird, Julian Bronco, thank you, man. Wesley Hahn, Cheryl M. ASMR, Yusuf Majoub, Stefan Munich, Anders Anderson, Alexander Tremblay from Quebec. Thank you, Alexander. Kyle Wade and Damien Greensill. Hey, thanks, Damien, in particular. And Brandy Wilbanks, you're my newest, as of this moment, Patreon supporter, so thank you, Brandy. And on PayPal, those of you who have donated, Stephen Lewis, Hardiak, thank you, Sebastian Betts, and Eric Burke, Tim Curran, Steve Curran. Thank you guys for your continued moral support. It's always really encouraging. Jody Compton and Tristan Babst and Ryan Kane, Sandy Ellen, Milena Glavik, Jamie Barker, Tim Paradis, David Monroe, Donna Wigington, thank you, Donna, Victor Backstrom, Sebastian Williams, Ryan Searle, and Damien Greensill again, thank you, and Martin Jacobitz, Chance Brennick, thanks, Chance. And on Venmo, Sean McQueen and Nick Toombs as well, thank you again, Nick. Jared Langenauer, thanks, Jared. Claire McWilliams, appreciate you. And Andy Frank, of course, Andy. He's the composer of the beautiful Gregorian chant choir composition that I used in my history of coffee video. I loved it. And from the live chat, thank you guys. Norwegian Royalist, you're awesome. Josh Hunt, Liam Shaw, Alberto Delgadillo, and Pickles, Romachek, 75, Napoon, Kara, T. Golden Cross, thank you, T. Golden, Michael Adorno, Blue Knight Studios, Hugo Rivera, Seas and Deceased, Dimensionless Waves, Lucid Leo, and Ardizzle multiple times. Thank you so much, Ardizzle. And Henry Crouch, Wade Dorian, Dominic DeRose, Sir Callum Moran, Laksa 30, and Julian B. Julian Bronco again. Thank you, man, so much. And for those of you on the Tingles app, a couple of you are crossovers from the other avenue, so I just want to thank you because that's a new avenue. I think it's fantastic that this app was developed so that we can listen to ASMR, which is something that's meant to help you sleep without, having your phone screen in that blue light that often keeps us all awake at night, without having that on So I want to support this app, and thank you in particular to those of you who have chosen to support me on this medium. Andy, Felipe, Fred Faust, and Xander with an X. So I just want to say thank you guys, sincerely, very, very much, because it means a lot to me, because it keeps me inspired to have that connection with you guys in particular. And that's part of our nature. We're curious, but we're curious because we need to be grounded in the relations between each other. And venturing out, exploring, and discovering new things is meaningless if you don't have something to return and share that information with. Some people, some home, some community, and some relationships. And you guys are the people who I most am inspired to come and share what I found with.